Hello， 大家好，歡迎收睇 Pure Living。今日咧就好高興幫有位客人咧喺 Redrow Homes 喺Kent 嗰邊嘅，就幫佢今日唔係收鎖匙啦，而家依一刻咧我哋係做翻個 Home Preview， 咁就約咗個 developer， 佢哋係 go through 成間屋點樣去即係成間屋係點樣去 operate 啊，跟住順便係睇下有咩 snack item 嘅。咁我哋喺後邊呢間4房嘅獨立屋去參觀一下先。我都知大把 YouTuber 之前係介紹過幫客人去新盤去收鎖匙，但係大家有冇睇過一個 Home Preview Tour 呢？點樣去摸熟一間新屋？啲電掣又喺邊度？同埋家電器又點用呢？今集咧就好高興有 Redrow Homes 介紹俾我哋睇啦。如果諗住買新樓，依輯就一定啱晒你啦。
So I'm Vicky, I'm the Customer Services Manager from Redrow Homes. I have got Luke with me, who is a trainee graduate, so he's out with us just learning what we do in customer services. So the purpose of today, I'm going to talk you through, explain everything that you need to know in your new home, or in their new home.
Yep.
Any questions at any point, let me know. I have got some tape and chalk with me as well, so if there is any sort of snags or anything you notice before we move on to each room, we can pick those up. Anything that we raise will be recorded on my iPad, which then filters through onto my Redrow, so the customers can log on to my Redrow, check what's been raised, and then when they move in, use it as the checklist to ensure everything's been actioned. On top of today's sort of snagging, if you do notice any, you do have 7 days post-completion as well. So once you move in and collect the keys, have a thorough look around, check everything over, make sure you're happy with everything, and then the site team after a week will come and collect that from them and work through it.
Right.
In addition to the 7 days snagging post-completion, you also have up to 3 weeks to report any damages and things like that to us. So if you move in and you notice there's a chip on a cupboard door or scratch glass or anything like that, you've got 3 weeks to really check that over and make sure that you've reported anything that you need to us. So just talking about the warranties quickly, so as mentioned, you've got 2 years warranty with Redrow for any defects in your home. We also take out the NHBC build mark warranty as well, so anything structurally concerning you do have.
Yeah. Is that 10 year?
It's 10 years,
yep.
So our 2 and then a remaining 8 years for the NHBC as well. So they will do anything structurally sort of concerning with the home if there is any sort of defects or anything like that. They do act as an intermediary company as well, so if throughout the 2-year warranty period a customer reported something, we came out and looked at it and said no, it's not a defect, it's fine. If the customer was certain that it's not fine and wanted a second opinion, you can go to the NHBC, who will give you peace of mind.
And appliances, are they warranty?
Yeah, so warranty. All of the appliances at the moment, I will talk you through that, but all of the appliances are set up for 1 year's warranty at the moment. When the customer moves in and collects the keys, there will be a home folio on the kitchen side. It will have all the user guides, all of the manuals and everything they need in there. There'll be numbers to call. If you call them and activate the warranties, they will extend the warranty to 2 years for you.
Great.
So you'll get 2 years on all of your appliances. That's your fridge, freezer, ovens, hob, extractor, etc. Couple of important things to note is, whilst we're talking about the warranties, with your boiler, you do have to get it serviced annually in order to keep the warranty validated. So although we provide you with a 2-year warranty, if 18 months down the line you gave us a call and said, my heating's not working or hot water's not working, the first thing our contractors will ask for is just evidence that you've had it serviced and had it maintained. When you move in, we will be in regular contact with you throughout the warranty period. So we will remind you of things like that as we get close to it. We'll say don't forget to register your appliances and don't forget to book your boiler service in. So just starting with the grid switches here in the kitchen. So because all of your appliances are integrated, the main socket for them is obviously behind each of the appliances. So everything's clearly labelled on here, and this is where you'll be able to turn everything on and off. If at any point you think something's not working, please just do check that first. It's surprising how many sort of handbags and things accidentally knock a switch off. So yeah, on there it is clearly labelled for you to be able to see what you're turning on and off. You've got your red switches here, which this one's for the hob and this one's for the ovens. Reason being is the higher voltage, they are on a separate circuit to the main grid switch. So that will activate those. With your extractor hood, so these do just pop out, they are on a spring release. Over time with cooking they will get greasy, so we do just recommend warm soapy water and leave them to stand and drain. We do advise not to put them in the dishwasher because they can bend out of shape. So just warm soapy water to clean those. With this one you don't have a filter, it is extracted right outside to the property, so you don't need to change the filter or anything on there. You've got your lights, number 1, number 2.
Perfect, yeah. And I guess these are self-circulating, they're not, are they extracting out?
They do extract out. Yeah,
okay.
So that there will be a little vent on the outside of the wall, so yeah, they extract straight out, so there's no filter or anything like that to change on those lines. With your appliances, as mentioned, you will get your user guides, your booklet when you move in. Obviously these do just turn it on, you've got all the different settings. Don't know if you've ever had a brand new oven before, but we do recommend just putting it on full power for about 20 minutes or so, just to burn off when it's first used. Thank you. So just to burn off the elements when it's first used, you will notice a bit of a metallic-y smell. If you put the food in straight away, it will have a bit of a funny taste to it. So just full power, as they're moving their boxes in, that will burn that off. And then it'll be fine to use once the smell disappears. You've got your fridge and freezer, a little bit of storage at the bottom, and again at the top, got the upgraded no frost, so it's a frost-free fridge freezer. But yeah, handy little bits of storage, but I will leave you at the end to go through all the units and take your photos.
Thank you.
Under here, your dishwasher. So this is the dishwasher, again it's the upgraded one. All your manuals and user guides will be provided in your home folio. They are all tested prior to the customer moving in. So under the kitchen sink here, so we obviously haven't installed the shelf because of the appliances, because of this here, but we will provide that still, so if they did want to cut around it or make a shelf in some way, they can. But under here you've got 2 tabs, so this one here, that's alright, not a problem. You've got your mains water stopcock, if you need to take that here. So you've got your mains water stopcock here. This basically, if you was to turn that off, that will stop all water coming into the property. So if at any point you think there's a leak or something concerning you, if you turn that off, and then give us a call. We do have an out-of-hours emergency team as well, which are called dailies, so they will come out to any emergencies if the site are closed or if our offices are closed. You've also got the site team to hand as well, so if they do need any assistance. And the garden stock must be in the...
So is the dishwasher sort of plumbed in at the moment? It's not.
So that will be for these. These just need to be connected up, but that will all be connected up prior to them moving in, and it will be tested. So that will be connected on there. You do have a USB socket over there as well as your standard sockets sort of around the room. Just behind me over here is your media, like TV aerial points. If you are planning on putting a TV on the wall or anything like that, we do say our cables run directly up the wall. Allow movement for them to sway, about 150 mil. So if you was putting a TV up here, you'd need to get a bracket that would sit either side of the centre zone. If they get a detector from a hardware store or something like that, it will pick up all of the cables and pipeworks. With our pipework, we do use plastic piping, but it does have a foil in it, so it will be detected with one of the detectors. And they're worth their weight in gold. So, so you'd be surprised how many people go through cables and things. Obviously, you've got the decorative radiator here. You've got your dial control on the bottom and how to adjust the temperature. I'll show you the heating thermostat as we go round. Strictly speaking, with our normal radiators, the pipes do go straight up the wall. If there is a window or something there and the radiator's under it, then they will go out to one side and then up around the window, just to bear that in mind if you're drilling and things. Not sure if the homeowner's ever had a brand new build before or anything like that, so don't know how much they know about shrinkage in settlement, but what we tend to say is in a new build there's so much moisture that goes into them, it's very important that you let the property ventilate as much as you can throughout the drying out period. So for the first sort of 12 to 18 months is what we call the drying out period. During that time, we do recommend that you don't decorate or wallpaper in that time. If you really, really wanted to paint, then we do recommend like a breathable paint, water-based emulsion, so that the walls can still breathe. But definitely avoid wallpaper in that time because you're going to trap any moisture behind. You will notice above each of the doors and each of the windows you have these trickle vents. So that is them open, that's them closed, and you can also open them from the bottom, so it depends how you prefer the look of them.
Right.
We recommend leaving them open all year round if you possibly can. So the more you ventilate the property, the better it will be. With a new build, you're always going to get some sort of shrinkage. It's just as the property dries out. The places you'll find it is where wood meets walls, so sort of skirting boards, door frames, window boards. It's just because it's expanding and contracting, so it creates that little bit of movement. If you do have any shrinkage, it is considered homeowner maintenance. So if you find any today, we will do it for you. If you find any within the first 7 days of moving in, we'll do it for you. After that, if it's under 2 millimeters, which is about the width of a pound coin, we will consider that homeowner maintenance. Anything over that, we will come out and do for you. Anything that is homeowner maintenance, we do have all of the videos on the home preview invitation email that I sent out. There is a link on there, and it's just a bit of decorator's caulk that you'd fill it with. So, but if you are stuck with anything, you can certainly give us a call and we'll offer advice on how best to manage it. If I don't know if they've upgraded for an outside, I think we need to get the starting rooms and keys to open the patio door. But if you haven't upgraded for an outside light, we still put all of the provisions in for you. So this light switch, I believe there's a spur on the outside. Once you unscrew that and connect a lantern or a lamp to it, this will operate the light for you.
So there's no light at the
I don't think they've purchased an upgraded light. I will double check when we get the keys, but I don't think they have. If they have, there'll be a light and that will just operate it. I can't see one, so I think we still put all the provisions in, and then it's there for if they do choose to have one when they move in. In each of the sort of wet rooms, the places where you've got washing machine, tumble dryers, showers, bathroom, those kind of things, you'll always have an extractor fan. So again, this is to help with the ventilation due to the amount of moisture and things like that that are in the property. Above the door, just above you there, that's the extractor fan isolator switch. So that's the main switch that will turn it on and off. And then you've got a little switch here that actually operates it. So we tend to say leave the main isolator switch on all the time unless you're doing any works to it or servicing it. Leave that on and then just use the fan switch to activate it. Again, when you're showering, when you're washing, anything that's sort of adding a bit more moisture or steam and things like that, extract it out as much as you can with the extractor fan. So have those running. Just on here is the heating programmer. So again, on the home preview invitation email that I sent you, I have sent a separate link directly to this. It takes you to like a video that we've done that will talk you through step by step. We will leave the heating on constant for you when you move in, and there'll be a thermostat downstairs and a thermostat upstairs because it's dual zoned heating, and I'll show you how to operate that. If you do want to set up, you can have your heating on timers that comes on before you wake up in the morning or before you get home from work. The program has to go onto program here, and as you go across, you've got heating zone 1 at the bottom, and that's downstairs, heating zone 2 here, which is upstairs, and then hot water. And the little video that's on my home preview email will show you how to set that based on sort of the time of day that you want it to come on. Again, because your appliances are integrated, your main switches for them to turn them on and off is just on the wall there. So they are labelled sort of washing machine and tumble dryer. Okay.
So again, are these plumbed in at the moment, or? Oh, these ones are plumbed in?
Yes, these ones all connected up. So they're all ready to go. And as I say, the dishwasher will be prior to you moving in. All of our basins, all of our plugs are pop-up ways, so they pop down and pop up. That'll be the same for every sort of wet room, bathroom, ensuite. Over time, particularly in the main bathroom, when you're cleaning your teeth and things like that, lime scale can build up and they can get a bit sticky over time. If that happens, they do unscrew, so you can just unscrew it, gently clean the rubber seal with sort of warm soapy water. Don't use sort of cleaning products that are too abrasive because they will corrode sort of the chrome coating. So warm soap and water will relieve that, and then you can screw that back on and it'll go back to normal for you.
Cool.
All of our taps are exactly the same, so you've got a hot and a cold feed on the taps there. I'll let you go around afterwards and check everything over. All of the flushes, they've still got their protective coatings on, but they are a dual flush, so it is a short and a long flush on there. And again, you've just got the trickle vents above the windows in here as well. Way here, this is your doorbell, so when the door rings, that will be where the sound chimes from. It's quite loud, so you will hear it in all of the bedrooms. You've got your security chain, spy hole, and it is a thumb turn lock. So in building regs now, we do say in the event of a fire and things like that, save rummaging around for keys, they are thumb turns, so they are more compliant with health and safety. All of our locks on our bathrooms as well are thumb turn locks, so if there are ever any sort of children or young ones that get stuck in there, you can actually use the coin from the other side to unlock it and get them out if that's ever necessary. This here is the heating thermostat. So the other one was the main programmer, so that will be where you can set it onto timers and things. This one is just basically to set the room's temperature. So this will do downstairs, and the one in the master bedroom will do upstairs because it's dual zone, so you can have heating on downstairs and off upstairs if you want to. Any room you have one of these, you won't have a dial on the radiator, the little TRV, and that's because that radiator is the master radiator to the thermostat, so this radiator will always have to read what you set your programmer to. Every other room will have a TRV, which is the thermostatic radiator valve to control the heating, so you could have your downstairs temperature say to 20 degrees, but if you're cooking in the kitchen and it's a bit too hot, you can turn that radiator off. This is quite easy to use, so it is just a spinny wheel, so you spin it up. When it's flashing, that's the temperature you want it to be. When it's solid, that's the room's current temperature. If the heating is on, a little flame will appear here to let you know that the heating's on. And if you want to turn the heating off, you can just scroll it down below the room's current temperature and the little flame will disappear to let you know the heating's no longer on.
Great. Are these Wi-Fi controlled?
They are Wi-Fi controlled.
So
as well.
Is there some sort of app to...
Yes, you will get your user manual, but yes, I believe there is an app that you can download that will control the heating, so you can put them on and off as well. Just above your head is the smoke alarm. So you've got one of those down here, one upstairs. They're hardwired, they're interlinked, but they're also battery backup. So should you ever have a power cut, the batteries will still protect you. But equally, if you start to hear that bleep, usually in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep, it will just be the batteries that need to be replaced in those. Again, as we do like to stay in contact, that is something that my coordinator Molly in the office will remind you about as we check in, just to make sure that you replace batteries and things like that. This is the door through to the garage. So again, we can take a look at here once we've got some shoes on, but you will see that there is the consumer unit, which is the fuse board over there, so we'll go through that. And I believe the boiler's just over in that corner there, so once we've got our shoe, once we've done it inside, I'll take you through and talk you through those.
So this was one of the additions, wasn't it?
This is, so we don't put these in as standard, this is an extra. Just me. Right, so into the living room. So just in here, just a couple of things you will hear me repeat, just in terms of the cables running directly up the wall, so just be mindful when you are drilling. If you are putting things on the wall, do make sure you've got correct sort of plasterboard fixtures and fittings. The site team can help in terms of whether it's a stud work wall or dot down and things like that. You've got your vents again across the windows in every room, so just make sure that they are left open just to aid with ventilation. You can see that there is a little bit of shrinkage to the mastic down there, so anything like that we will go around and we will pick those up and make sure that's all dealt with before completion. You've got your TV, media and aerial points here, so when the customer moves in they will need to get a TV aerial, and it does connect up our cables run up into the loft. I think we've missed it actually, the cupboards, so we'll just go back to that, but your BT is the main infrastructure, they do the fibre to the property, and then the customer can go with any provider that they want to. As I say, our cables do run up into the loft, so they can go and get broadband and things like that. It is worth noting when they take out broadband, particularly with Sky, just let them know that cables are in the loft, so they don't need to go in it. As soon as they've climbed a couple of steps, they'll see it all coiled up and they'll be able to reach it. It's just because I've had a few customers say to me they've waited in all day Sky have come out, and then because of health and safety, climbing a ladder, they've not done it with one person. So just a heads up on that. Again, you've got your telephone points over here, and then double sockets sort of in each of the corners of the room.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
I'll just take you back to that cupboard just so that I can show you your BT property. That's in here. So it's got 2 green lights on it, so it's set up, all ready to go. So if you wanted to activate it as soon as notice has been served, you can do that. So that's all connected and all ready to go, and then you've got Ethernet points and things here.
Great.
All right. And there, as I said, there are little bits I'm noticing, settlement and things, that we'll pick those up once we've done the home demo tour.
Sure.
I'll pick up what I notice as well. If we head upstairs, so as mentioned, you've just got the smoke alarm up here, which is exactly the same as the one downstairs. They do have a little button on it for you to test it, so you can just push that and test that regularly. There's nothing too much for me to run through, so I won't keep repeating about the cables and things. You have got your additional...
I thought you quite like being on camera.
Yeah, nothing in there. I'm just trying to think of everything I usually go through when the customer's here. Obviously, they usually ask questions and things like that. As I say, just keep it ventilated. Try not to decorate for 12 to 18 months. It's not uncommon for new builds to get little bits of sort of mould spots and things like that. If that does happen, again, it's usually sort of long skirting boards and things like that. Just use a bleach to clean it off. If that does happen, ventilate the property and that will go. It is just as the moisture comes out. If it comes out too quickly, then that can cause that to happen. Maybe nothing in this one for me either. This one's exactly the same as the other rooms, so just more for you to have a little look.
Cool.
Yeah, so the Ethernet point down there is there extra as well, I think, with the TV aerial point on.
Yep. I'll go through all the list after I've got it on my iPad.
Yeah. Just in here is the water cylinder cupboard. So at the moment the pressure is actually low, so this should always read between 1 and 2. So we will get that topped up for you prior to completion. If that drops regularly, then that could indicate that there is something wrong. It shouldn't drop very regularly, but if it does, you do need to repressurise it. So we've not connected. The filling loop is here, so there is an instruction on here to everything. This is called a filling loop. So these two ends would just connect to where there's the black valve. So one connects on here and one connects on here. So just behind that you'll see that there's a black valve. Once you've connected that up, if you turn the 2 valves together, you'll watch the pressure creep up on here. As mentioned, 1.5 is probably ideal. So once it gets to there, you just turn the valves off and then you can disconnect the filling loop again. You do have an immersion switch, so should the boiler ever pack up or should there ever be no hot water for any reason, you can use the immersion. It is costly to run, so we do recommend that you don't use it. I think for about every quarter of a tank you use, they charge you for a whole one. So the fact that you've got out of hours emergency team, you've got our customer services team and the site team, you shouldn't need to use the immersion. That should be a last resort. You've got your hot water isolation valve here. This is called a tan dish, so this is like a visual indicator. If you do see water dripping through there, that's an indicator that there could be a leak or a problem. So if that does happen, do let us know and we can come out and address that. When you get your boiler serviced annually, they do have to service this as well. So both of them need to be serviced to keep the warranty validated. There is a number on here of the name and number of the people that installed it. You don't have to use our providers as long as they're gas safe. You can use who you want. Some people prefer to use the people that installed it so that they know the system, but the choice is yours. Okay. Just above you is the loft hatch. So we don't provide a ladder or anything to the loft because we do say you're not to store anything in there.
Yep.
So storing anything in the loft will invalidate the NHBC warranty, even if it's an empty suitcase. They will say it invalidates the structure of the warranty structure.
Right.
If you was to open the loft hatch, there is about a foot of insulation up there. That's obviously what keeps the home warm. If you did decide to board it out and things like that, you're going to suppress that insulation, which could then affect the warmth of your home, and it won't be as energy efficient.
Yep.
Equally, if you boarded it out or put heavy things up there, you can cause the ceilings to bow and the board joints to appear. That wouldn't be covered by Redrow if you did store anything up there. And it is also an open air space, so you do get airflow come through from the soffits.
Right.
Obviously, if it's warm in the house, that can cause condensation and things like that. So we tend to say don't store anything up there at all.
What about boarding the loft? Would that invalidate?
It would invalidate the NHBC warranty.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
As I say, some customers still choose to put empty suitcases or a couple of bits up there. We just have to say that invalidates. It doesn't invalidate our warranty on the whole of the property. It just, if say the ceiling was to start bowing or something like that as a result of storing things up there, we just wouldn't cover that aspect. But for the NHBC, anything that's stored up there, that they do invalidate it. And I think the reason for that is they say the trusses are designed to take the weight of the roof, the tiles, and about a foot of snow in addition to that. So they say any more weight that you put up there, it then compromises.
Yep. Cool.
Okay. You've got wardrobe choice here as well. Again, nothing for me to run through. So we just do that. Alright. We do the bathroom first. We are aware that the bath panel does have a crack in it, just so you're aware that that will be replaced prior to completion. That's currently in order. Your shower, so on here you've got two dials, so you've got the pressure and you've got the temperature. Under health and safety building regs, it is set to a 38-degree maximum temperature. If you want it hotter, you then have to push this button in and turn it further. It's just in case there's children or vulnerable people in the shower to save them from burning and scalding themselves.
Right.
The waste is exactly the same and the taps are the same. So they are generic throughout. All of the windows have got keys in them, so when on completion, I think you get about 3 sets of front door keys and patio door keys, and about 8 sets of window keys, even though they are sort of universal. Heated towel rails, we do recommend that these are only used for dry towels, so you put your dry towel on there to warm it up for when you get out of the shower. If you put things that are quite wet on it over time, it will cause it to rust and things like that, so it is only designed to warm up your towel for when you jump out of the shower. They do get exceptionally hot as well, so just a medium setting, just in case there's children or things like that. I would put it on medium just to check the temperature first, because they do get hotter than normal radiators. So just bear that in mind. Shaver socket, we do recommend it is just for shavers only. We'll remove the pencil marks where they've lined it up, but we do recommend that that is for shavers only. If you do plug sort of electronic toothbrushes and things like that in there, if it is a different voltage to what's stated on here, it can cause the elements to start buzzing inside. And when we've called out the electricians previously for that, they've said that because it's not been used for its intended use, which is the shavers, they wouldn't cover it. So we have to say just use that for shavers only. Alright. You can take all of this off to have a look, it's just the protection that's popped down for now. That's everything in here.
You've got the fan isolator switch
yes,
again.
You've got the extractor fan isolator switch, you've got an extractor fan over here, so again when you're showering, just try and minimise the amount of steam and moisture in here. Alright. And then if you go to the master bedroom behind you, so up here you've got your thermostat again, so this will control all of the heating upstairs. As mentioned, because your programmer is in here, you don't have the dial on the radiator because that radiator has to read what you've set the thermostat to. You've got 2 switches in here as well, so the extractor fan is on a separate switch, so if you're asleep in the middle of the night and you need to put the light on, you haven't got the fan sort of running in the background, which is quite nice. There's nothing too much extra for me to run through. The shaver sockets and shower controls are exactly the same. In the bottom of the shower, at the moment the protection's down, but I can take that up. But underneath is just it's a silver ring, which is like a hair catcher. It's designed to catch any hair and things from going down and clogging the drains. If you take that out, underneath there is like a cup of water, which acts as a barrier against any smells and things like that come up from the drains. If you're not using the main shower, if you've gone on holiday for a long period of time, or if you're using the main bathroom, if you do start to notice a bit of a drainage smell, it will be that the water in that cup has evaporated and that acts as the barrier. So if that happens, run the shower for 5 minutes, the cup will fill back up with water and it will solve the problem.
Right.
All right. I think that's everything in terms of the tour internally. So we will go around and do the snagging afterwards, so I'll come around with you.
Cool.
We can go and take a look externally and at the boiler, if we get our shoes on, do the boiler and the consumer unit. The consumer unit fuse boards, so it does have a little yellow button here and here to tell you to test it. So once every 6 months, just give that a press. It does remind you here, but just give that a press and make sure that it trips the electrics. If it doesn't for any reason, obviously there's something wrong, so please do let us know. Everything's clearly labelled at the bottom as to what you need to isolate, and then you've got 2 spares on there as well, should you ever need to. It does have to be serviced every 10 years, so there is a date on here to say 30th of March 22 and March 2032 is when it's due its next inspection. So again, just a qualified electrician just to come along, give it a service and check that everything's all okay. This is the garden tap stopcock, so in the winter months we do recommend, if you're not using it to water the grass or anything like that, if you turn the stopcock off in here and turn the tap on in the garden, that will drain any water out of the pipes and things like that, just to stop them from freezing and bursting. And again, we will remind you that as part of our sort of courtesy checking calls. So this is the boiler. As mentioned, you have got your cylinder upstairs, the water cylinder. The name and number of our plumbers are on here, and it was last serviced on the 1st of April 22, so you've got until April 23 before that now needs to be done.
Yep.
As long as it's a gas safe engineer, you can't use anybody to service that. I think that's currently it out here that I need to go through. You can go out the front of the property and have a look into the garden.
Yep.
You've got your meter boxes here, the G is for gas and this bolt is for the electrical. On day of completion, when you do come to collect the keys, the sales lady will come down to the property, take all of the meter readings with the homeowner present so that they're happy we're paying right up until they move in. The providers here is E.ON and Southern Water. You're not obliged to stay with E.ON. If you do want to shop around, you can go elsewhere. We tend to recommend it might be best to get an idea on your usage, to wait for your first bill to come along. So as soon as you move in, you just need to wait and they will bill you for your first bill, and then it's up to you if you want to sort of shop around or go elsewhere. But the water, the gas and the electric, all of the meters will be taken on the day of completion of handover when they come to collect the keys.
Yep.
Alright.
Right.
This is BT Openreach, so this is just where the main infrastructure comes into the property as mentioned, and it goes through to the cupboard that we showed you in the utility. You've got your boiler flow, and then just out here, so as mentioned, this is the spur, so if you did want to install an outside garden light, we do all the main electrics and the main provisions for it to be connected up to. The switch that was just on the inside will be what will activate it, so that just pops off and you can get an electrician just to put a light up for you, and the cable's already run. You've got your garden tap and just the drainage below, and then your extractor vents out of the property. There is an area here of no grass, so that's being dealt with and that will be addressed before you move in, so new turf will be laid down there. As you'll see, you've got the extractor vents on the outside, so the trickle vents, that will be where the ventilation goes through to.
Perfect.
Alright.
我自己個人覺得其實 Redrow Homes 幫依間屋做成個買賣個過程同埋呢個 Home Preview Tour 係做得非常之好嘅。咁如果今集係有用嘅，記得俾個 like 我哋。同埋如果你中意依類型嘅影片，或者你想睇埋成個 House Tour 咧，記得 comment 喺下邊。咁如果未 subscribe 我嘅 channel， 記得撳響個鐘仔。今集就講到呢度啦。 下集再見，拜拜。